So in today's web dev tip, we're going to take a look at method or function overloading in TypeScript classes. So in the previous tutorial, we had these two classes set up. We had the base class of user, and then we had this developer class, which extends the base user class. And they're pretty much doing the same thing, except we're passing in some additional constructor values as arguments. But one thing we can actually do with this as well is any functions or methods that are available on the base class can be used on the extended class. So let me just demonstrate that quickly for you. So for example, instead of just logging out the whole developer object that we're creating, we can use the login function, which is obviously very secure, which checks a password that's been provided as an argument and checks it against this string here. So let's just call that here. So you can see it's available to us within Visual Studio Code in the IntelliSense. So we can log in, and if we just provide the string of let me in, oops, make sure I spell it right, and then save that and run it on the console, you can see we get the output of true on the console because this Boolean expression here is true. But what about if we want to change that behavior, that login behavior in the developer class? Well, we can do that with something called overloading, or an overloading of methods in this case. So this method here, this login function, what we can do is we can recreate that in the developer class and change the way it behaves. So let's do that now. So just over in the developer class, we'll recreate the login function. Now there's one thing that you need to bear in mind when you're overloading functions, and that is that the signature or the arguments and the return types need to exactly match what's in the base class. So you can see at the moment we're getting some errors from TypeScript just saying that that the way that you're trying to create the login method doesn't match what's in the base class. So this needs to be exact. So the name of the variable doesn't actually matter too much, but the type of the variable that we're passing in does. And then we need to make sure that the return type matches what's in the base class too. So here we've got Boolean. So you can see that error message has gone from the login method here. It's just asking us now to just return a Boolean from this function. So we'll do something like that. And you can see all of our TypeScript errors go away. But if we were to try and change anything like this, like try and say that we're going to return a string instead, you'll see we get that error again, saying that the types, the signatures of the two methods don't match. So that's the one thing you just need to be aware of, that the return type and the argument types need to match. But now if we try and run the code again, we should find that it fails because we're providing the password of let me in, whereas it's using this method now to check the login string. So let's just change that to password and rerun it again. And we should find that the output is now true. So there you go, there's a way that you can overload the methods in a base class if you want to customize the behavior in a particular class that you're creating. So using this technique, you can tweak and control the behavior on methods in inherited classes should you need to. So that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you stay tuned for more web dev tips.